Just now, Aryna Sabalenka, seen her rise to the top of the Australian Open, is totally destroyed by Eala. Half-empty stadiums watch the defending champion play flawless tennis, while 5,000 spectators swarm court 6 to witness a Filipino qualifier, who is 20 years old. The global music #1 has been officially overtaken by Eala's viewership, merchandise sales, and internet buzz. In Melbourne, the hierarchy simply fell apart. Introduction. Is Eala's success a result of genuine star power, in your opinion, or is it only the transient excitement generated by the Filipino community? Please share your honest opinion here. Since the extent of this disturbance is really unique in contemporary tennis, let's determine precisely what transpired in Melbourne. The 20-year-old Filipino Eala, who was not in the top 100, attracted more attention, crowd excitement, and media coverage than world #1 and reigning Australian Open winner, Aryna Sabalenka. That isn't a prejudiced interpretation or an exaggeration. Based on viewing statistics, social media indicators, and attendance numbers, it is the verified fact. Introduction. 3. With ideal scheduling and exclusive broadcast opportunities, Sabalenka is playing tennis at the championship level on center courts. With her signature power game, she is destroying opponents, hitting aces and devastating ground strokes just as everyone had anticipated. Additionally, she is performing in front of dispersed audiences while empty seats in the stands are apparent. Eala is playing on outer courts, which are tiny arenas used for early round games. The crowds there are so large that security has to be stepped up because spectators are scaling fences and garbage cans in an attempt to gain a view. The precise figures are just astounding. Over 5,000 spectators turned up while I was scheduled for court 6, which can accommodate about 1,500 people, according to tournament officials. Not all of them fit. The facility was overrun by them. According to security records, they went 300% beyond fire safety regulations. People were really yelling encouragement while dangling from music fences, more as they would at a World Cup football game than a civil tennis event. This is when Sabalenka's situation really becomes awkward. Eala was practicing warm-up strokes on court 10, not even a competitive match, while she was playing a televised match on center court. Additionally, Eala's warm-ups drew 40% more views than the real competition throughout Southeast Asia and the Pacific, according to viewing statistics. Go over it again. More people watched the practice exercises than the match between the reigning champs. Since it indicates a fundamental change in who really influences tennis viewing, that number puts sponsors and tournament organizers in a state of total fear. It's not the player with the greatest rating or the best results. It's the player that emotionally engages large populations who weren't previously interested in tennis. There is a clear difference in the way that the media and fans see these two athletes. When Sabalenka attends news conferences, she is questioned about her fan following rather than her performance. Reporters are not asking her follow-up questions about the Filipino phenomena taking place on the outside courts 50 yards away, while she is providing technically flawless responses about her game. That must have disastrous psychological effects. You are the best in the world. The defending champion is you. It's the finest tennis match you've ever played. Additionally, you're being seen as a little player in someone else's narrative. In real time, the queen is seeing the crown disappear. Furthermore, because tennis quality isn't at issue, there is nothing she can do about it. It has to do with cultural ties. The grounds of Melbourne Park have undergone changes. Flags from many of nations are often seen strewn across the audience during Grand Slams. It's a sea of red, blue, and yellow this year. There are Filipino flags everywhere. The PA system on nearby courts is drowned out by the loud yelling. The mood is less like an individual event and more like a Davis Cup match when pride in the country is at stake. Sabalenka is the epitome of tennis brilliance. She is a physical wonder who plays with brutal efficiency. But from the viewpoint of a spectator, she is also aloof and chilly. Her strategy is predictable because it is flawless. There is no suspense since viewers are certain that she will prevail. Drama is snuffed out by perfection. Eala is the complete opposite. She is the underdog battling against her physical limitations. Because she is much smaller than most of her opponents, she makes up for it with defensive prowess and tactical genius acquired at the Rafael Nadal Academy. It seems like a survival situation with every gathering. It seems like an upset every time you win. Since no one expects her to win, The drama is naturally included into her matches. In addition, Eala has more symbolic significance than Sabalanka outside of the tennis world. Eala is evidence to millions in Southeast Asia, and the Philippines in particular, that their people merit recognition on the international scene. She plays more than just tennis. She serves as a cultural ambassador, proving that you can compete with the best tennis players in a poor country with no tennis infrastructure. Sabalanka competes for rankings and awards. Eala battles for pride in the country and representation. The reason the popularity scales have shifted so sharply is because of that emotional divide. A Sabalanka ace is greeted with courteous applause. People cry when they see an Eala winner. The emotional commitment is very different. Particularly noteworthy is the moniker given to the period that has developed around Eala. Fans began using it as a hashtag and social media trend to commemorate her matches. However, it has grown into something more significant. It is now officially acknowledged that Philippine music tennis has made a permanent appearance on the international scene. Prior to Eala, Southeast Asian athletes sometimes participated in important tournaments before going missing. The moniker implies that things are different now. This is the start of long-term success, rather than a passing fad that frightens established tennis powers in America and Europe, since it represents a change in the sport's demographics. The whole financial paradigm of professional tennis shifts if Eala sets off the same cultural boom that Serena Williams or Tiger Woods brought about for black sportsmen in tennis or golf, respectively. Markets open up. There are new sponsors. The balance of power moves to Asia. The financial effects are already apparent. Music. According to reports, Wilson, Adidas, and Nike are vying for Eala's support. They understand that signing her involves more than simply one player. It's about gaining access to a whole region of the world, music, that wasn't previously involved with tennis. Gaining access to the Filipino market and larger Southeast Asian populations has enormous potential financial benefits. Sabalanka, however, has already secured her endorsement contracts. Although she is financially stable, she is seeing businesses give a lower-ranked player more money because that player has something that she does not. Cultural influence that goes beyond athletics. Eala's game's tactical development is particularly noteworthy as it demonstrates that this is more than simply nationalism-based hype. In fact, she is talented enough to merit the attention. Her serve, which was a vulnerability when she was a teenager, is now a valid weapon. Similar to how Rafael Nadal crushed opponents with his serve patterns, she pulls opponents wide and creates angles with her left-handed slicing serve. The largest benefit, nevertheless, is mental. Eala suffered a severe defeat in the first set in a recent encounter against a more experienced American opponent. Her previous self would have lost in straight sets and psychologically imploded. Music. Instead, she composed herself, fueled a comeback with the support of the audience, and prevailed in 3 sets. What distinguishes athletes with promise from those who really succeed at the greatest level is that mental toughness. When the crowds get angry, Sabalenka struggles. In interviews, she has acknowledged that negative energy has an impact on her performance. Chaos is what EA thrives on. She performs better in front of a larger audience. That is an intangible benefit that coaching and training cannot duplicate. It is based on personality and provides her with a tool that rankings are unable to measure. Melbourne's economic benefit has been estimated to be over $15 million in extra tourism-related income over the course of 2 weeks. To see Eala perform, fans are traveling from Singapore, Jakarta, Hong Kong, and other parts of Southeast Asia. In general, they are not attending the competition. They are especially targeting her. That is what it means to be a cultural phenomenon, as opposed to just a sports narrative. The news out of Manila is even more shocking. The capital's traffic stops while Eala is performing. Business productivity falls to nothing. In order to project the match for pupils, professors cancel classes. The Philippines' fascination with Manny Pacquiao during his boxing heyday was comparable to this. But unlike basketball or fighting, tennis has no cultural origins in the Philippines. The strength of her symbolic significance is shown by the fact that EA is producing this reaction for a foreign sport. Sabalenka must be thinking about everything and wondering how she lost her relevance in a tournament in which she is winning. She is outperforming Eala at tennis. Her outcomes are better. She has a higher rating. Furthermore, popularity isn't based on who plays better, thus, none of it counts. It ultimately comes down to who emotionally engages viewers. It was especially cruel during the press conference when reporters questioned Symbolism about Eala's support base rather than her own performance. You could feel the displeasure in her professional response and grin. Everyone is preoccupied with the Filipino qualifier competing on the outside courts, so they don't give a damn when she talks about her route to another title. It's difficult to recover from such psychological shock. It compels you to face the fact that being the greatest player does not equate to being the most significant player. Tennis talent has little bearing on star power. Eala now has it, although Symbolism does not. It's important to compare this to earlier cultural changes in tennis. Serena Williams introduced the sport to much larger audiences. Maria Sharapova's rise to fame opened up Russian markets and popularized tennis among younger audiences. The tennis industry's whole economic strategy shifted to cater to Asian markets when Li Na won Grand Slam titles for China. That same type of change seems to be being sparked by Eala, but especially for Southeast Asia and the Filipino diaspora throughout the world. Now that Eala has built-in fan following, they will appear wherever there are Filipino populations and create environments similar to what we saw in Melbourne. That gives her a competitive edge for the duration of her career. Whether this rise is long-lasting or only a brief spike due to novelty is the issue. According to the period, supporters think the term is permanent. Major sponsors' funding indicates that businesses think it will last. It seems that everyone is getting ready for this to become the new standard given the infrastructure modifications being considered by tennis officials to handle bigger attendance at her matches. Although history indicates otherwise, Symbolism is presumably hopeful that this is just a transitory music situation, and that things will return to normal when Eala loses or is hurt. A population is more likely to remain interested in a sport, even after a player leaves if they get passionate about it. Fans of Serena Williams now watch other athletes. Fans of Tiger Woods' music continue to watch golf. The change that Eala is bringing about will probably endure longer than her own career. Eala doesn't even need to win the tournament to solidify this story, which is the last surprise. The fact that she loses tomorrow doesn't music alter the past. She has already shown her ability to garner international attention and provide economic effect that surpasses that of the reigning champion. There is no way to reverse that lasting change in the tennis hierarchy. The trophy may be lifted by Symbolism. She may give her resume another impressive addition. However, Eala leaves with the knowledge that she has the power to stop the world. And rankings and awards don't adequately represent that kind of power. Despite being placed 100 positions lower, a 20-year-old qualifier recently outperformed Symbolism in terms of hype, attendance, music, and viewership. Eala is officially the owner of the Australian Open. Star power just shown that it counts more than rankings, regardless of music who takes home the prize, and Symbolism is having to learn that lesson the hard way. For further truth checks on tennis hierarchy, hit like and subscribe.